In this video, we're going to talk about which wines to decant and why, as well as how to properly do it. Here we go. Welcome to the V is for Vino Nerd Lab. We take complicated wine topics and make them simple. Today we're talking about decanting. I know it's called decanting, but you might as well call it decanting because you can do it. I believe in you. No? I'll see myself out. In all seriousness, a lot of people are very confused about which wine should be decanted. The short answer is that almost any wine, red, white, young, old, can usually benefit from decanting, albeit for different reasons. The first is that it helps introduce oxygen back into the wine. When storing wine, oxygen is the enemy. But once we uncork a wine, oxygen helps the flavor and aromas start to open up. Gases that developed in the bottle during storage are allowed to dissipate, tannins and reds will start to soften, and the flavors and aromas will start to expand and become more intense. The second reason to decant is to separate the sediment that may have formed in the bottle over long periods of time, usually 5 years or more. Sediment in old wines is from microscopic particles in the wine that start to bind together over time. And the older the wine is, the more sediment it'll have. It isn't dangerous, but it's kind of like having grounds in your coffee. It isn't pleasant, so decanting is one way we can separate the solids from the liquid. As I mentioned, almost every wine will benefit from being introduced to a little bit of air. The exceptions are sparkling wines, where you want to retain the bubbles, and very, very, very old wines. I'm talking 40, 50 years or more, because they're super delicate. That being said, some wines benefit from decanting more than others. Fuller-bodied whites, like a good Burgundy, or old whites like aged Chenin Blanc or Riesling, love decanters because they help open them up. Very young tannic red wines are also good in decanters because the tannins are still strong in young wines, and decanting helps soften them. And of course, old wines with lots of sediment are a must. Decanting wine is really easy. First, you'll need a decanter. And while I've seen some crazy ones made by artisan glass blowers in the shape of an octopus, I can't imagine how hard that would be to clean. So I recommend a nice simple one, like this, or like this. But as far as I'm concerned, you could use a mop bucket, as long as it's got a large surface area. If it's a young wine, feel free to dump the whole bottle in. If you're decanting an old wine, place it upright for 24 hours so all the sediment settles at the bottom. Then watch the wine as you carefully pour and stop pouring right before the sediment starts to go into the decanter. Then all that's left is to let Father Time do its magic. Which leads us to our final question. How long do we decant? This is a tough one and it's heavily debated. A good starting point is 1 hour. Very tannic wines may need more time, while white wines, low tannin reds, or older fragile wines may be ready in less time. Err on the side of caution by trying the wine periodically as it decants and seeing how it changes. Once it's fragrant and expressive and the tannins start to change, it's ready. If it starts to smell oxidized or like vinegar, you've gone too long. But what if the wine is ready, but dinner isn't until later? Well, feel free to cap it. Or funnel it back into the bottle to slow the oxidation process. Plus, you can now put the bottle back in your wine fridge so it's proper temperature when it's time to serve. And me, I've only got about 56 minutes and 43 seconds until this wine is fully decanted, but hey, who's keeping track? I hope this Nerd Lab answered a few questions about decanting wine. As always, keep geeking out.